Have you ever wondered why something as small and ordinary as salt has been considered a powerful tool against negative energy in so many cultures, and even finds a place of discussion within Islam? At first glance, it might sound strange. How can a simple pinch of salt near your bed make a difference in your life? But when we dig deeper, we realize that this is not about superstition. It's about intention, symbolism, and aligning ourselves with the Sunnah that reminds us to always seek Allah's protection from the unseen forces around us. In Islam, we are taught that the unseen, al-ghaib, is real. There are blessings we cannot see, but there are also harms we cannot always explain, like envy, hasad, the evil eye, and negative influences from both people and jinn. The Quran tells us directly in Surah Al-Falaq, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. This verse alone reminds us that envy is not just a feeling. It's an energy that can affect health, wealth, and even peace inside our homes. Even today, many Muslim families continue to rely on simple sunnah-based remedies for protection. In Indonesia, for example, households will place small bowls of salt in their rooms after reciting Quranic verses, believing it wards off heaviness and restlessness. In Morocco, elders often combine salt with Quranic recitations to cleanse a home after guests or gatherings. These are not replacements for faith, prayer, and dhikr, but rather symbolic actions rooted in the idea that Allah has placed blessings and benefits in even the simplest of His creations. Stay with me until the end, because you'll discover not only the Sunnah about salt, but also how real families around the world are applying this right now. Before we dive deeper, comment below. Have you or someone you know ever used salt in your home for protection? Historical and cultural context. Draft salt has been more than just a seasoning throughout human history. Across civilizations, this simple mineral has carried deep symbolic and even spiritual meaning. The Romans used salt as a sign of loyalty and purity. Roman soldiers were partly paid with salt, giving us the word salary. In ancient China, salt was believed to carry protective qualities, and it became central in rituals that warded off evil spirits. Among the Arabs, long before Islam, salt often symbolized trust and covenant. Sharing salt with someone was a way of sealing friendship or an agreement. When Islam came, it redirected these natural associations back to their rightful source, Allah, the creator of all things, who placed blessings in both the smallest seed and the simplest grain of salt. While Islam rejected superstition and sorcery, it reminded us that Allah can make even the most ordinary creation a means of benefit when tied to faith and intention. That's why salt, in an Islamic perspective, is never seen as magic, but rather as a symbol of purity, simplicity, and protection against corruption. We see this reflected in recent times. During the pandemic, when fear and uncertainty spread across the globe, families in Muslim-majority countries like Morocco and Indonesia began quietly reviving old traditions of placing salt at doorways or in corners of their homes. It wasn't done as sorcery or blind ritual, but as a way of combining cultural habit with spiritual intention, reciting the Quran and then using salt as a visible reminder that the home is protected. Many families reported that it brought them peace of mind and a sense of cleanliness and order at a time when the world felt unstable. But here's the important balance. Islam warns us strongly against sorcery and attributing power to anything other than Allah. The Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah mentions how in Babylon, people followed the teachings of devils who practiced harmful magic. They followed what the devils recited during the reign of Solomon, 2:1:2. This ayah is a reminder that we must distinguish between superstition and Sunnah, between harmful practices and permissible symbols of purity. Salt, when used correctly, is not sorcery. It is a natural creation of Allah, a tool that, when combined with Quranic recitation, can symbolize warding off impurity and negative influences. That's why scholars emphasize it's not about believing salt itself has hidden powers, but about recognizing Allah's wisdom in the simplest things. Just as water cleanses the body, salt can be a reminder of cleansing the home, physically and spiritually. Don't skip ahead. The connection between everyday items like salt and spiritual well-being will surprise you. Would you like me to make another video explaining other household sunnahs that keep away negative energy? Comment yes sunnah below, the sunnah dimension. When we look at the sunnah of the Prophet Dhikr, we find that he consistently guided us toward remedies that were simple, natural, and accessible to every believer. The Messenger of Allah said, "Use the black seed, for indeed it is a cure for every disease except death." Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. Nigella seed, black seed, is still widely used by Muslims today for immunity, energy, and healing. Likewise, honey was mentioned in the Quran itself. From their bellies comes a drink of varying colors, in which there is healing for people. Surah An-Nahl 1669. Honey is both nourishment and medicine. Another sunnah remedy is hijama, cupping therapy. The Prophet said, "Indeed, the best of remedies you have is hijama." Sunan Ibn Majah. This practice is not just for physical health, but also for releasing tension and spiritual heaviness. Together, these natural remedies show us a pattern. Islam teaches us that healing is not only about advanced medicines, but also about recognizing the power of what Allah has already placed in nature. Placing salt near the bed follows this same principle, especially when done with the mindset of tafa'ul, seeking a good omen and reminding oneself of purity and protection. Salt is not a cure in itself, but a symbol, much like using miswak, the toothstick, or applying kohl. These are small actions that create an atmosphere of spiritual mindfulness. When we consciously put salt by our bed while reciting Ayat al-Kursi or Surah al-Falaq and An-Nas, it becomes an act of faith. O Allah, protect me and my family from unseen harm. The Quran also gives us stories that highlight the power of natural elements as a means of Allah's healing. Take the story of Prophet Ayub, Job, peace be upon him. He endured immense suffering, physical illness, loss of wealth, loss of family. But he turned to Allah with patience. Allah instructed him, "Strike the ground with your foot. Here is a cool bath, and drink." Surah Sad 38:42. With water and earth, Ayub found relief. Simple elements, created by Allah, became the means of healing through divine command. This teaches us that remedies don't need to be complicated. Sometimes, healing is in the earth beneath our feet or the salt in our homes. Even in our time, Muslims continue to see blessings in these sunnah-inspired practices. For example, a family in Pakistan reported experiencing constant nightmares, a heavy atmosphere, and children waking up frightened in the night. After consulting a local scholar, they began reciting Surah Al-Baqarah regularly in their home, placing small bowls of salt near their beds after dua, and maintaining household cleanliness. Within weeks, the nightmares decreased, and the family described their home as lighter and more peaceful. They didn't believe the salt itself was magical, but they viewed it as a sunnah-inspired reminder of purity combined with Quran and dua. This is the heart of sunnah remedies, simple acts paired with faith that restore balance to the body, heart, and home. When we place salt near our bed, it is not about superstition. It is about following the prophetic spirit of using Allah's simple creations as reminders of His protection. Keep watching, because the hadith I'll share with you about purification will deepen your respect for these simple practices. Have you personally tried any Sunnah remedy like honey, black seed, or even salt? Share your experience in the comments, I'll be reading them. Negative energy. Explained. When people today talk about negative energy, they often describe it in vague terms: bad vibes, heavy feelings, or stressful atmospheres. Psychology tells us that clutter, constant noise, and disorganization create tension in the mind and body. But Islam explains something deeper. Not all heaviness comes from the visible world. There is also hasad, envy, disturbance from jinn, and the absence of barakah, blessing. These are real, unseen forces that affect our lives. And the Quran and Sunnah give us tools to guard against them. Envy, for example, is so powerful that Allah commanded us to seek His protection specifically from it, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. Surah Al-Falaq. Negative energy can manifest in sickness, loss of wealth, arguments at home, or even constant sadness. The Prophet said, "Envy consumes good deeds just as fire consumes wood." This shows that hasad is not just a feeling. It is a destructive force that can burn away both happiness and faith if left unchecked. Another form of negative energy comes from disturbances caused by jinn. While many dismiss this idea, Islam teaches that the jinn are real, and they can sometimes affect humans through whispers, fear, or even physical harm. That is why reciting Ayat al-Kursi and the last 2 surahs of the Quran before sleep is so essential. Placing salt by the bed is not protection by itself, but it becomes a symbolic act of cleansing and grounding, reminding us to rely on Allah's words as the ultimate shield. And then there is the absence of barakah. A home without the remembrance of Allah may feel filled with chaos, even if it is wealthy and beautiful. A home without the remembrance of Allah may feel filled with chaos, even if it is wealthy and beautiful. On the other hand, a simple home where the Quran is recited feels alive with light. This is why simple actions, like keeping the home clean, removing harmful items, and even using natural symbols like salt, can make such a difference in atmosphere. We see the reality of this in today's world. News reports show rising levels of anxiety and depression globally. Families feel disconnected, and many Muslims are turning back to Sunnah remedies for comfort. In Egypt, for instance, a local imam recently advised his community about the importance of Dhikr, Quran recitation, and even placing salt as a way of symbolizing purification in the home. He reminded them that it's not the salt itself, but the remembrance of Allah that makes a home safe from negative energy. The Quran also gives us a powerful story about envy in the life of Prophet Yusuf. Joseph, peace be upon him. His brothers, out of jealousy, plotted to harm him, saying, "Kill Yusuf or cast him away to some land, so that your father's favor may be given to you alone." Surah Yusuf 12:9. This was envy so strong that it tore a family apart and led to years of pain. And yet, Allah protected Yusuf, raised him in honor, and turned their envy into his elevation. This story shows that envy and negative energy are destructive forces, but also that Allah's protection can transform them into blessings. Salt, in this sense, becomes a simple reminder of grounding and cleansing. Just as we wash our hands with water, placing salt in the home can symbolize removing the dust of envy and disturbance. It is a physical act that points us back to the real protection, Allah's words, dua, and trust in Him. Don't click away. The most powerful story of envy in the Quran is coming up, and it connects directly with your home. If you've ever felt negative energy in your home, comment, "I've felt it," so we know how real this is for people. Practical guidance. By now you might be wondering, how exactly do I place salt near my bed in a way that is in line with Sunnah and not superstition? Let's walk through this step by step. Step 1. Make the right intention. Before you do anything, remind yourself that salt is not magical. It does not protect by itself. The real protection comes only from Allah. The salt is simply a reminder of purity and a symbol of cleansing your home. Begin with the intention, "O Allah, I do this seeking your protection from all harm, seen and unseen." Step 2. Prepare a small bowl of salt. Use ordinary salt, nothing fancy. Place it in a clean container or bowl. The important part is cleanliness and sincerity, not decoration. Step 3. Recite Quranic verses. Before placing it by your bed, recite the following: Ayat al-Kursi, Surah al-Baqarah 255, Surah al-Falaq, Surah al-Nas. You can also recite Surah al-Ikhlas to complete the 3 chapters the Prophet would often recite before sleep. Blow gently over the salt after reciting, as a way of connecting the act with Quran. Step 4. Place it near your bed. Put the bowl at the side of your bed or under a nightstand. Some people prefer to place it at the corners of the room as well. This is symbolic. It marks the space as purified and under Allah's protection. Step 5. Pair with daily Sunnah. Don't forget to also recite the du'as before sleeping, like the Prophet taught. Blowing into your palms after reciting the last 3 surahs, then wiping over your body. Keeping your home clean, avoiding arguments before bed, and ensuring Quran is recited regularly are just as important. Salt is only a reminder. Your actions and faith are the real shield. The Quran emphasizes this balance in Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:11. Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. This ayah reminds us that physical actions without sincerity will not transform our lives. Salt is a symbol, but the true change comes from faith, dua, and consistent effort to keep the home aligned with Allah's guidance. One inspiring real-life story comes from a revert Muslim sister in the UK. She described how, after embracing Islam, she struggled with constant unease at night, bad dreams, a feeling of heaviness, and a restless atmosphere in her home. A local teacher advised her to combine nightly Quran recitation with placing small bowls of salt near her bed as a symbolic Sunnah-inspired habit. Within weeks, she felt a difference. Fewer nightmares, more peace, and even her children slept better. She explained, "It wasn't about the salt itself. It was about the reminder to seek Allah's protection every night." Her story is a living example of how even small actions can have a big impact when rooted in faith. So when you place salt near your bed, do it with clarity. It is not superstition, but a Sunnah-inspired reminder of purification, combined with the real shields Allah has given us, the Quran, dua, and trust in Him. Stay tuned until the end, because I'll share a powerful nightly dua to combine with this Sunnah practice. Write down in the comments, "Bismillah, I protect my home," as a way of affirming this Sunnah in your own life. Final reflections and call to action. As we come to the close of this discussion, it's important to step back and see the full picture. Placing salt near your bed is not about superstition, nor is it a magical solution to life's problems. It is a Sunnah-inspired habit, rooted in purity, simplicity, and intention, that serves as a reminder of the greater protection Allah has placed for us in the Quran and Sunnah. The real shield comes from reciting His words, making sincere dua, and trusting completely in Him. Salt, at most, is a physical marker that points our hearts back to Allah. Around the world, Muslims are rediscovering the beauty of these simple Sunnah remedies. We see black seed oil and honey trending again, not just as health supplements, but as a revival of prophetic wisdom. Families are engaging in ruqya sessions, reciting Quran in their homes to drive away heaviness and disturbance. People are realizing that while modern medicine and psychology play a role, the deepest peace comes from aligning our lives with the practices of the Prophet. In many ways, placing salt near your bed has become part of this wave of reviving traditions that connect body, mind, and soul. The Quran and Sunnah constantly emphasize nightly protection. The Prophet Muhammad himself had a powerful routine before sleep. He would recite Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, and Surah An-Nas, then blow into his hands and wipe them over his body 3 times. This simple yet profound Sunnah reminds us that the unseen is real, and that Allah has given us direct ways to shield ourselves. Placing salt near the bed can complement this Sunnah, acting as an additional symbolic step that reinforces the spiritual atmosphere of safety and remembrance in the home. Remember, Islam teaches balance. We do not attribute power to objects, but we do respect the wisdom of symbolic acts when they are tied to faith. Just as miswak cleans the mouth and water purifies the body, salt can serve as a reminder of cleansing away envy, stress, and unseen heaviness. But ultimately, it is Allah who protects. The Quran says, "And if Allah should touch you with adversity, there is no remover of it except Him. And if He intends for you good, then there is no repeller of His bounty." Surah Yunus 10, 1 and 7. This is the essence of trust, placing effort in small actions, while knowing that protection and healing belong only to Allah. So tonight, as you prepare for rest, think about this. By combining Quran recitation, dua, and a simple act like placing salt, you are not only protecting your home, but also reviving a Sunnah-inspired mindset that connects you directly to the Prophet and the generations of Muslims who came before you. Before you scroll away, let me leave you with this. A simple Sunnah could protect your home tonight if you try it. Do you want me to share more hidden Sunnahs that protect your home from envy and negative energy? Comment, more Sunnah, if yes.